Welcome to this edition of Riders Block, bright and early on a Monday morning. Look at Lav. Look at you, just wide awake. You've been awake for hours, haven't you, with the kids?
I have. We could have done this at 6 a.m. Eastern time on Monday. That's the price you pay when you have a 3-year-old and an infant.
I knew this was going to be tough for you waking up Monday morning because no one was more excited last night about Jordan Spieth breaking through at the RBC Heritage than you. Let's just go ahead and start. He wins with, quote, his words, no putter. Is this kind of the new norm when it comes to Jordan? His ball striking seems to be a strength now.
I would have loved to do this on Sunday. I was so excited after Spieth's win. Unfortunately, Rex, I had to smoke a lamb for my family, and it was delicious. 275, hit that 138 internal. We can talk about that more on the podcast. And you're right. Jordan Spieth's ball striking has definitely become a strength. You look at the last two events during the regular PGA Tour schedule, he has led the field in strokes gained tee to green in both of them. Most golf tournaments, when you're 13.3 strokes ahead of the field with your ball striking, you're probably going to be in the mix. And he's, I think, exactly right. He won this tournament in spite of his putting, which is what you've never said about Jordan Spieth. And he certainly got some help, and we're going to dive into that, just kind of the recap video here with all the guys who had an opportunity to win. But he did make a clutch putt, Rex, on that 72nd hole, making that 10-footer for birdie to even get in the clubhouse at 13 under par. I think the numbers are a little bit skewed because of that 18-inch miss that he had on the 18th hole in the third round. That accounted for about minus 1.3 strokes gained putting. So that's kind of going to skew your stats negatively. But look, it hasn't been good. It wasn't good at the Valero, where he was 60 or 71st out of 72 players. Wasn't good at the Masters, where he missed the cut for the first time in his career. And it wasn't great at Hilton Head either, where he was 60th out of 71 players. It's certainly something he's going to need to address over the next couple of weeks.
I think back now and I wonder, at what point would this have become a reality that you and I would have had a conversation about the idea that Jordan Spieth would win an event with his ball striking and his putting was so bad? He was 60th in the field in strokes gained putting. If you look at what he did, you mentioned Saturday, and yes, it was a terrible Saturday on the greens for him, but he made a grand total of 15 feet of putts on Saturday. I don't even know how that's mathematically possible. I know the greens at Harbour Town are very, very small, but that to me is amazing when you consider it's always been a hallmark of his career. Now, you factor in on Sunday, and also on Saturday, there was some hole outs from the bunkers, and he also made some shots from off the green. So that's going to sort of skew that a little bit. But the ball striking, first in the field in strokes gained tee to green, I feel like even though I find it painful to still watch whatever it is he's trying to do in that practice swing, it looks like he's coloring by the numbers. There's a lot of chicken wing going on. There's a lot of sort of trying to get from A to B.
He said he's going to 150% of what he's actually doing. He said it's feel versus real. So he's like over exaggerating what he's trying to do in that rehearsal move. Hopefully in the next couple of months, it gets so embedded, right? Like that he doesn't have to even think about it.
You would think it would eventually, because this is a player that you go back and he seemed to play by feel when he was playing his best. So even though you can't question, I mean, statistically, he is what he is. He's a really good ball striker, especially his irons.
And he's actually better. He's better than last year. You know, last year he had an opportunity to win a couple major championships, obviously won the Texas Open. He's hitting the ball better. It's just not as aesthetically pleasing, I guess.
It is not, and we're not really getting those Jordan moments, right? I mean, I say that, and he had 2 eagles on the front 9 on Sunday to really put himself
still holing out
contention.
from everywhere.
He's still being Jordan off the green. He's just not Jordan on the green. And I guess to your point about that putt on the 72nd hole, he had no idea. I think he finished about an hour before Patrick Cantlay finally finished up. And in his mind, he just ran it through the scenario that be Jordan Spieth. Be the best you can be in this particular scenario. You need to make this putt to get into a playoff. It showed an incredible level of just not thought process, but also nerves, where he was able to execute that shot and get it done, to spin it forward, which we don't do very often when it comes to Riders Block. But I am curious, if you look ahead to next month's PGA Championship, and he just moved back into the top 10 in the world ranking, this is the one that's missing from the resume. This is the Grand Slam, the career Grand Slam that he would complete if he were to win the PGA Championship. Do you put him in your top 5 going to Tulsa?
Top 5 favorites. I mean, we still have 4 or 5 weeks until we get to the PGA Championship. I'm not sure I need to make that determination right now. What I will say, however, is that the Southern Hills PGA Championship offers what I think is one of the best opportunities for Jordan Spieth to finally capture that final leg of the career Grand Slam. You look at where we've gone over the past couple of years. I actually thought Kiowa was a pretty good opportunity for him and didn't play great. Once again, his putter let him down. on the weekend in particular. But, Bethpage Black, it's sort of a beefy setup. That's kind of what you see most often with these PGA Championship venues. He's very familiar with Southern Hills, played it a bunch in college where they had a regular tournament there. The Big 12 Championship was there a couple of times. This is an opportunity to kind of use his creativity. You have to imagine that in the springtime it's going to be windy. I certainly like him in those types of conditions where he has to be imaginative and creative. Top 5 favorites, I don't know. I'm not sure that is particularly relevant on April 18th. But, yeah, this is one of his best opportunities to finally capture that final leg.
I don't know if I'm willing to put him in the top 5 because it seems like we just had a conversation a few weeks ago about him being almost a year removed from his last victory, which would have been the Texas Open, which he won last year on Easter Sunday. So he seems to have a good thing going on Easter Sunday, but he doesn't have the consistency that I think I need to see for a week in and week out basis. I'm not saying he can't win at Southern Hills for all those reasons you pointed out. I certainly think he has the game ball striking wise now, but I think the putting would need to come around in that particular scenario for him to be one of the favorites. I probably should have put it at top 10, to be fair, just because.
I would certainly put him in the top 10. And look, he just played 4 weeks in a row. He's taking a mini break before he plays the week before the PGA Championship, then heading in to Southern Hills. The ball striking is no longer going to be a point of emphasis for his weeks off work. He's putting a lot of time and a lot of effort over the past year to get it where he can, it might still be a little ugly with some of the rehearsal swings, but clearly he's hitting the ball well. The putting is going to be a point of emphasis. This is not sort of a couple week barrage. I mean, this has been plaguing him for the better part of a year or two now. I mean, he's been putting so much emphasis on other parts of the game that something is bound to lack. He's 179th on the PGA Tour in putting. He needs to find a consistent feel over these next couple of weeks that makes me really confident about his chances at the PGA.
He did win, so we are going to kind of look back a little bit more to the people who did not win. By my estimate, there were about 50 guys on Sunday who could have won. Do I have the math right? Roughly on that. There was pretty much anyone who made the cut could still win on Sunday. And you had a lot of movement going on, and it's a very, very difficult golf course on a Sunday. But I was kind of surprised at some of the players that didn't get it done. Of all of the contenders, who do you think is most disappointed this morning?
Think about this, Rex. Jordan Spieth, when he stood on the 18th tee on Sunday, had a 0.8% probability to win, according to the folks at Data Golf. I mean, that is.
What does that mean?
Incredible.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
It means he had virtually no chance to win. You think about that. At that time, he was 2 shots behind as he stood on the 18th tee. Obviously, made birdie. And so when you look at some of the contenders, I mean, it's a who's who. I mean, Shane Lowry, he chipped it in the water on the par 3, which is kind of an inexplicable blunder. How do you not just kind of lay it up, for lack of a better term, somewhere on the green?
I mean, it was running away from it. It was a tough chip, yeah.
But lay it up. At worst, you're going to make a bogey. Instead, he makes the critical mistake and makes double the tumble out of the share for the lead. I certainly think Patrick Cantlay is going to be kicking himself. He had virtually the same yardage that he had in regulation. A different wind gust got him in the playoff hole, ended up plugging his shot in the bunker and had virtually no chance. Harold Varner didn't make a single birdie on the back 9. Sepp Straka had just a short iron in on the 72nd hole, opportunity to move one clear. He ends up making bogey after missing the green.
I told you to pick one. You're naming the entire field. Pick one.
I know, because you can't pick one. I mean, I certainly think Patrick Cantlay is going to be the most upset. He still does not have a victory in 2022. It's his second playoff loss, and he doesn't have much to show for what has been a pretty good year so far. So if I had to pick one, I'd say Patrick Cantlay.
I think the level of aggravation for Patrick Cantlay is probably as high as it's ever been. Certainly when you look at the fact that he, again, hit the ball really, really well. And again, he put himself in a position.
Had a chance to win in regulation.
And then the putting just lets him down. It let him down all week long. And that's kind of been the story of his year. I'll go all the way back to Palm Springs when he had an opportunity and he was in contention there and he didn't get it done. For me, I kind of went a different route, and I am going to pick out one guy, Harold Varner. And I do that. Well, he had a 1-stroke lead going into the final round. And certainly you can see how things sort of played out over that last final round. There were a lot of things going on. And Shane Lowry, Patrick Cantlay, you can also say those guys were disappointed. I just think it's so hard to win on the PGA Tour, and you get so few chances. And for Harold to let this one go, and he's still trying to get that first PGA Tour victory, you have to start asking at some point. He's got a lot of career ahead of him, but you don't get a lot of these opportunities. And the more and more you let go, I think the more and more you're going to look back and regret.
I mean, at least he played well. I think it would have been a really disappointing experience had he shot, 74 or 75 when he had a 54-hole lead on the PGA Tour. He just couldn't buy a putt on the back nine. He certainly squandered some opportunities on some short par fours. He didn't make birdie on 15, which is the lone par 5 coming in. At least he didn't necessarily kick the golf tournament away, and I think it was a valuable experience for him being staked to that third-round lead and coming up just short.
I'm not sure anyone kicked it away, to be honest with you. All right, we're going to go back to
Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry kicked it away.
His ball striking was off on Sunday. I mean, compared to where he was earlier in the week, he did not hit the ball well in that final round. But we're going to look back at last week real quickly. Bryson DeChambeau had surgery on his left hand. You and I debated this. Wherever the hamate bone is, please let us know. Apparently, it was successful according to his social media account.
When is it not? When is it not successful? When do they say man, we botched that one?
Wow, didn't get that one right at all. Yeah, that would be concerning if that's what you heard from your doctors. What is your level of concern for Bryson going forward after this surgery?
Look, I certainly think the only regret that Bryson would have is that he didn't undergo this procedure earlier. This was an issue that, according to Bryson, had cropped up last fall, even before the charity match that he had with Brooks Koepka, when he felt a little bit of a pop and he just kind of played his way through it. He did his intense training sessions and his speed training and all of that. Had he undergone this procedure, Rex, in early February, which is when it caused him to withdraw from the Saudi event, he would have missed the Masters, certainly, but at least he potentially could have been back for the remaining 3 majors. Now he's kind of in that quagmire. He says that he'll be back within 2 months. I think that's overly optimistic. David Chow, a renowned surgeon and trainer for the NFL, said the Open Championship in July is a more likely, more realistic target date for him. And look, he's in trouble. He's outside the top 215 in the FedEx Cup playoffs. If he comes back, which I still think he will this summer, he's going to need to play well in those next couple of starts that he has, or he's going to be missing the entire FedEx Cup playoffs. That trickles down then. He's going to be left off the President's Cup team, and all of a sudden it becomes a very sleepy summer and fall and a disappointing year, certainly for Bryson DeChambeau.
I think the level of concern is high. You're right, because you look at this particular injury, and I talked to 2 longtime tour trainers and got pretty much the same number. So the comeback window is in that 10 to 13 week range, and that kind of depends on the player. I think Jim Furyk was the example I was given. It took him about 13 weeks, and he didn't swing at the time nearly with the velocity that Bryson DeChambeau does. So now all of a sudden, he was obviously looking at the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open. I don't think either one of those are very realistic, at least if you're going to allow your body to heal. And I don't know, I hate questioning athletes when it comes to injuries, because they all say the same thing, and I tend to believe it, that they know what their body is telling them. I just don't know if Bryson is listening to what his body is telling him. He certainly wasn't listening, as you pointed out, after he hurt his hand or his wrist after the Saudi International going forward. One of the trainers told me someone needed to step in and tell him, you're not playing the Masters, you're not playing the match play. The comeback can wait. Either have surgery now or give it a month or 2 and see if it will heal. He didn't have any interest in either one of those things. So that's my bigger level of concern. If he doesn't listen to his body and he tries to rush it like he rushed it before and not having the surgery, that's always going to be a level of concern for me.
And look, he clearly wanted to play in the Masters, and that's admirable. I'm not sure what he potentially expected. Would you really think that with 2 warm-up events, all of a sudden you can show up to one of the trickiest golf courses on the planet, bash away with reckless abandon, spraying it all over the map, and think that you're going to contend? That was unrealistic from the start. And I just didn't like how he went from, he was 90% right before he decided to withdraw from the Players Championship, and then he went down to 80 at the Augusta National at the Masters tournament, and all of a sudden now you're going under the knife, and I think the rest of your season certainly is in jeopardy.
High level concern for both of us. I woke up this morning and started jotting down ideas for questions, and the first one I wrote down is this last one that we're going to get to. So I don't even know if you understand what this means, but which tournament has the better tartan jacket, this week at Heritage or in a few weeks at Colonial at the Charles Schwab Challenge? Do you even know what tartan is? Can you tell me?
Being incredibly colorblind, couldn't tell you what color it is, couldn't tell you what pattern it is. It actually feels like one of those tests. So like the colorblind test is there's a letter or a number on a page. Normal people can see it. There's like a 3 on the page, and there's every single color on the spectrum. A normal person can pick out the 3 quite easily. A colorblind person cannot. We flipped through 40 pages. I had absolutely zero idea what any of the pages was showing. I don't know. I'm sure both of these jackets are very nice. They're basically the same to me. The bigger question is, what do you wear that could possibly match it? You know, from traveling with me, I wear dark on top and light on bottom, or I wear dark on bottom and light on top. That is how I dress myself. If you have to sort of mix and match these colors, that's where you get in a lot of trouble.
You do like a Garanimals thing where your wife just gives you where A with B and
Post-it
B with
notes,
C. Yeah.
Post-it notes, stack them on top of each other in the suitcase.
I do have an answer to this, only because I spent 4 years in the Marines in Hilton Head, stationed near Hilton Head. So that tartan's always going to be special to me. But I just wanted to say, I feel like this is an HR violation too, or me making fun of you because you're colorblind.
Yes, HR will be online. Well, let me just jot down that email right now. Something making fun of colorblindness. I'm sure this is on one of those. I'm sure this is on one of those discriminatory email.
I
apologize. That we have to go through.
That's right. I shouldn't have done it. I feel like that's a terrible thing. We were touch base on Wednesday where I will be. Yes, I'm going to catch a case where I will be in New Orleans. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about the tournament and a lot about what to eat. Laugh, I'll talk to you Wednesday.
Looking forward to it. 10 minutes on where to eat in New Orleans. Can't wait.